The storm is already here, and fans are furious. The WNBA just made a decision that has everyone scratching their heads and throwing accusations of corruption. Out of all the referees they could have chosen, they assigned the exact same crew that botched the infamous Lynx versus Mercury game, yes, the one that had social media on fire for days, to oversee the Indiana Fever's semifinal clash with the Las Vegas Aces. Think about how wild that is for a second. Caitlin Clark's biggest playoff stage, the one matchup that could define her entire young career. And the league drops that crew in the middle of it. Fans aren't just upset, they're boiling. Some are saying this is incompetence, others are flat out calling it rigged.
Like, she's truly being soft. It's like if I was running a business and everybody at my business is complaining about the same thing. Everyone in my business is complaining about the same thing, and I'm hiding behind, well, guys, everybody in every workplace complains about those things, so.
Because let's be honest, this isn't some small-time regular season game in front of a half-empty crowd. This is the semifinals, the matchup the entire basketball world has been waiting for. Caitlin Clark versus Aja Wilson, Boston battling in the paint, Mitchell trying to light it up from deep. And yet, instead of celebrating the talent, we're stuck talking about referees. The same referees who already got Cheryl Reeves suspended after she dared to call out their nonsense. Now, those exact names are being handed the whistle in Clark's biggest test yet. Fans see the pattern. They see who benefits. And they're asking the one question the league doesn't want to answer. Is this on purpose?
And we talked about how dangerous it can be. You're hearing it from the other series. You're hearing other coaches. You're hearing Becky talk about when you let the physicality happen, people get hurt, there's fights. And this is the look that our league wants for some reason. We were trying to play through it. We tried not to make excuses. One of the best players in the league shot 0 free throws.
So let's actually unpack this disaster, because the WNBA isn't just making mistakes anymore, they're doubling down. Isaac Barnett, Randy Richardson, Jana, that's the crew. The exact trio that left fans fuming and coaches punished is now being recycled for a stage that millions are going to tune into. That's not tone deaf, that's a slap in the face. This isn't just about missed calls or inconsistent whistles anymore. This is about credibility. The fans have receipts, the media has been blasting it for weeks, and yet the league acts like nobody remembers what went down, assigning them to Indiana versus. Vegas isn't just a gamble. It's practically handing the critics ammunition and daring them to scream corruption at the top of their lungs.
Recently, in a recent interview, and I want to show you guys this clip.
I think every year, everybody complains about officiating, by the way, in every sport. So, but that means people care. They care so much. And we hear the concerns from the ecosystem in our league, whether it's fans, players, coaches. We take it seriously. We understand there's frustration. Our game is constantly evolving. We just talked about the speed, talent, and physicality, and we recognize that, you know, as leagues change and rules change and you know.
To really understand how outrageous this referee assignment is, you've got to revisit the exact storm that started it all. That infamous Lynx versus Mercury matchup. Cheryl Reeves, one of the most respected coaches in the game, didn't just lose her cool because she was frustrated. No, she lost it because she was forced to watch what looked less like basketball and more like sanctioned violence. Napheesa Collier, her star, her franchise cornerstone, took blow after blow from Alyssa Thomas. We're not talking about normal playoff physicality here. We're talking elbows digging into ribs, shoulders thrown into her chest, and hacks that would have sent most players crumpling to the floor. Yet, somehow, the whistles stayed buried in the refs' pockets. The cameras caught Collier limping, visibly wincing in pain, and still, no foul. Now, coaches know playoff basketball is rough, but there's a line between toughness and negligence. Reeves saw that line crossed over and over again, and when she finally stood up to defend her player, the league didn't back her. They slapped her down, suspended, fined, even her assistants fined, punished for daring to call out what every fan watching could see with their own eyes. That wasn't just incompetence, it was intimidation. A warning shot, stay quiet or else. And now, fast forward to today. Those same refs who lost control of that game who triggered a national conversation about whether the league was protecting its players at all, have been assigned to Caitlin Clark's biggest playoff test. It's not just insanity. It's the league waving a red flag at its fans saying, yeah, we hear you, and we don't care.
0. And she had 5 fouls. 0 free throws. Got her shoulder pulled out and finished the game with her leg being taken out and probably has a fracture. And so if this is what our league wants, okay. But I want to call for a change of leadership.
And here's where it gets even more insane. The Indiana Fever's story this season isn't just about making the playoffs. It's about reviving the entire league. Think about it. Caitlin Clark, despite missing stretches with injury, was still the heartbeat of the WNBA. Every game she played turned into a traveling circus of sellouts, record-breaking TV numbers, and viral highlights. Aaliyah Boston cemented herself as one of the most dominant forces in the paint, putting up stat lines that reminded everyone why she was a college legend. Kelsey Mitchell proved her Money Mitch nickname wasn't just for show. Time and again, she buried impossible shots that turned games on their heads. And Odyssey Sims, the veteran presence, kept the young roster grounded with hustle plays and leadership moments that don't show up in the box score, but win you basketball games. Together, that group didn't just scrape into the postseason, they dragged the Fever back into relevance. They became the must-watch team in a league desperate for must-watch basketball. And what did the WNBA do to reward that grit, that fight, that resurgence? They handed them the exact same referee crew that already humiliated the sport on a national stage. Fans see it for what it is. These refs already carry a reputation for being inconsistent, thin-skinned, and reckless with the whistle. They're the last crew you assign to the league's brightest spotlight. Yet here they are, front and center, managing Caitlin Clark's semifinals. And that's why social media exploded. This isn't just, oops, bad luck. Fans believe this is sabotage, plain and simple. They believe the league is protecting its golden market team, Las Vegas, while hanging Indiana, the scrappy underdogs who actually brought fans back into the fold, out to dry. But let's really break down how bad this is by revisiting the receipts. That Lynx Mercury game wasn't just sloppy, it was statistical malpractice. Minnesota controlled the boards, grabbed 10 more rebounds than Phoenix, and still couldn't close the gap because the refs decided fouls just didn't exist. The Lynx shot 21 free throws, sure, but the glaring issue wasn't numbers. It was timing. Every time Phoenix got physical, whistles disappeared. Alyssa Thomas practically turned the lane into her own personal demolition derby, racking up at least a dozen plays that could have easily been called, and yet she skated away untouched. Meanwhile, Collier was battered until she literally limped off, and when Reeve dared to demand accountability, she was punished instead. That was the game that shattered fans' trust in officiating. And now, the WNBA has placed that exact crew in charge of Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and Kelsey Mitchell facing off against Aja Wilson, Jackie Young, and Chelsea Gray. It's a recipe for disaster that fans can see coming a mile away. These referees have already shown they'll swallow their whistles when games get physical, and the Aces thrive in that environment. That's basically handing Vegas a built-in advantage. And the Fever? They've already dealt with this nonsense all season. Just ask Lexi Hull, who's been shoved, elbowed, and flat-out tackled on screens with nothing called. Local reporters like Scott Agnes have receipts, tweeting out plays where Hull got mugged while refs stood frozen. Fans aren't exaggerating. They're connecting dots. Assigning this same crew to the most high-stakes series of the season isn't bad optics. It's malpractice. And worse, it feels intentional. It feels like the league is engineering a Vegas safety net at the exact moment Indiana should be celebrated for saving the WNBA's relevance. The league keeps insisting it wants to grow the game. You see it in the commercials, in the press releases, in every glossy ad about the next generation of women's basketball. But then comes reality. And reality is this semifinal, the most watched playoff series in years, being handed to the most despised referee crew in the sport. That's not growth. That's sabotage dressed in stripes, and fans know it. They don't want the refs to be the storyline. They want to talk about Caitlin Clark pulling up from the logo, They want to talk about Aja Wilson battling Aaliyah Boston for post supremacy, 2 MVP caliber stars going blow for blow. They want to see Kelsey Mitchell catching fire from deep and Jackie Young trying to match her shot for shot. This had all the makings of an instant classic. Instead, every conversation online is about whether Clark will even survive 4 quarters of unchecked elbows and body slams. And let's get specific, because the names matter. Isaac Barnett, the crew chief, has a reputation for lightning-quick technicals, punishing players for even showing emotion. Clark claps her hands after a no call, that's attack. Stephanie White raises her voice to demand fairness, that's attack. Meanwhile, Wilson gets the benefit of the doubt on every collision in the paint, because Barnett's whistle disappears when the physicality comes from Vegas. Then there's Randy Richardson, the definition of inconsistent. One possession, he's calling a soft touch on the perimeter. The very next, he lets players wrestle for position like it's the WWE. No rhythm, no standard, just chaos. And Jana, the third official, fans literally call her the Ghost because she fades into the background whenever the game gets tough. The semifinals, the biggest stage of Caitlin Clark's young career, are being run by this crew. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's a crisis of competence. And incompetence this glaring looks a whole lot like corruption. So let's ask the real questions. How does this even happen? How do you take a referee crew that just triggered one of the biggest officiating controversies of the season and put them right back under the playoff spotlight? How do you expect fans to trust a product when the league keeps recycling officials who everyone agrees are awful at their jobs? The answer is brutal in its simplicity. The WNBA doesn't care. They think fans will tune in anyway. They think controversy means ratings. But controversy without fairness doesn't grow the game. It kills credibility. And once credibility is gone, fans don't just complain. They walk away. Now put Caitlin Clark in the middle of this mess. She's not just another star. She's the engine of the league, the one selling out arenas, breaking viewership records, and making casual sports fans care about the WNBA for the first time in decades. And instead of protecting her, instead of making sure her playoff run is remembered for her basketball brilliance, the league has practically dared the refs to swallow their whistles again. Fans watched her get hacked, shoved, and tripped all season with barely a call. They watched her get targeted by defenders who treated her like a tackling dummy. And what did the refs do? Nothing. And now, in the biggest series yet, with the same crew assigned, what do you think is going to happen? Meanwhile, Indiana's roster has been through hell to even get here. Boston has carried the front court like a warrior. Mitchell has kept the scoring alive when Clark was sidelined. Lexi Hull has played through nagging pain, absorbing punishment just to give her team minutes. This team earned the right to be celebrated. And what does the league do? It throws them right back into the same chaos that humiliated the WNBA last month. Fans see it for what it is. Favoritism. Vegas isn't just another team. They're the golden child, the glamour franchise. The Aces have the glitz, the backing, the star power the league loves to showcase. So when fans see Vegas gifted the same ref crew that already tilted a game with their physicality blind spot, it doesn't look like coincidence. It looks like the fix is in, and favoritism, more than anything, destroys trust. And that's the heart of the issue. Fans don't turn on playoff games to watch referees. They don't shell out money to see Isaac Barnett flex his whistle or Randy Richardson shrug his shoulders. They show up to see stars, Clark raining logo threes, Boston dominating the paint, Mitchell cooking defenders off the dribble, Wilson going full MVP mode. But when the refs become the main act, the entire product collapses. And let's be honest, this isn't about one game or one crew, it's about a pattern. The WNBA has shown over and over again that certain players get protected while others get abused. Wilson gets whistles, Clark gets elbows, Stewart gets calls, Boston gets mugged. Fans aren't blind. They see the double standard. They know exactly which players the league wants to elevate, and they know who gets sacrificed to make it happen. Now imagine what happens if this crew actually swings the outcome. Say it's a tight fourth quarter, Mitchell is on fire, Boston's battling for every rebound, Clark is dragging defenders out past the arc. Then boom, a phantom foul sends Boston to the bench. Or Clark gets hacked on a drive, no whistle, and Vegas runs the other way for an easy bucket. That's not competition, that's manipulation. And fans won't forgive it. They've already proven that once they believe a game is rigged, they stop watching. We saw it after the Lynx-Mercury disaster. Cheryl Reeve went ballistic, screaming at refs, blasting the league, and what did the WNBA do? They didn't admit the officials botched it. They didn't issue accountability, they suspended her. Suspended the winningest coach in the league for pointing out the truth. And now, those same refs are assigned to Caitlin Clark's semifinals? That's not just a bad look, that's comedy. Dark, destructive comedy. And that's exactly why fans are fuming. Because it feels like the league isn't fighting for the fever, it's actively fighting against them. Instead of celebrating one of the greatest underdog stories the league has ever seen, the WNBA has tossed Indiana straight into the buzzsaw of questionable officiating. Think about it. The Fever fought their way back from rock bottom, dragging themselves into contention behind grit, resilience, and a once-in-a-generation rookie who turned into the face of the league overnight. And what's their reward? The exact same crew that embarrassed the sport a month ago. Fans don't see that as coincidence. They see it as rigging the game to protect Vegas. The Aces, flashy, polished, league-approved, get the benefit of the doubt. Indiana, the team that actually brought new eyeballs to the league, gets thrown to the wolves. It's backwards, it's insulting, and it's why fans are screaming corrupt on every league post. And let's be honest, fans are sick of Vegas. Polls show it, watch parties prove it, and the ratings confirm it. People don't want another Aces victory lap. They want new blood. They want Clark stepping onto the final stage for the first time. They want Boston versus Wilson in a heavyweight battle that feels fresh and unpredictable. They want Mitchell putting the world on notice in prime time. That's how you grow the game, with storylines that feel alive, not recycled. Instead, the league keeps forcing the Aces as the golden child, and the people paying for tickets, streams, and jerseys feel betrayed. Just scroll through the comments, protect Caitlin. Refs are ruining the game. The league is rigged. That's not trolls. That's your paying audience. And when even Becky Hammon, who has no reason to protect Indiana, is openly criticizing officiating, that's not a Fever problem. That's a league problem.
The officiating crew that we had tonight, for the leadership to deem those three people semifinals playoff worthy is fucking malpractice.
And here's the cruel irony. Caitlin Clark is the league's cash cow. She's the one driving ticket sales. She's the one selling jerseys by the truckload. She's the reason ESPN bumps WNBA games into prime time. And instead of protecting her, the league has set her up to get hammered again. That's not just short-sighted, that's suicidal. It's literally biting the hand that feeds you. Let's break it down by player. Boston has been Indiana's anchor, going toe-to-toe with Wilson, proving she's not just the Rookie of the Year, but an MVP candidate in her own right. But watch how these refs call it. Wilson throws an elbow, and somehow Boston gets whistled. Kelsey Mitchell has carried stretches of the season, slicing defenses apart with her scoring, but she doesn't have the league's golden child label. So when she drives into contact, she doesn't get a whistle. Meanwhile, Jackie Young barely gets brushed, and she's at the line. That kind of imbalance isn't just annoying. It kills momentum and breaks games wide open. And then there's Clark, the biggest star in the league. The one player who can single-handedly bring millions of eyeballs to a random Tuesday night game. And what do fans see? She's shoved to the ground, elbowed, tripped, and the refs just stand there. No protection, no accountability, just silence. That's why conspiracy theories are exploding. When officiating is this lopsided, people stop believing it's incompetence. They assume it's intentional. And once fans think the game is rigged, you lose them forever. No marketing campaign can fix that. No Nike commercial can paper it over. Because if fans don't trust the fairness of the product, it doesn't matter how many stars you showcase. The bigger picture is this. The WNBA has been riding an incredible wave of growth, fueled almost entirely by Clark's presence. But instead of leaning into fair competitive basketball, they've allowed the referees to dominate every headline. That's not growth, that's self-sabotage. And let's zoom out even further. Every major league has refereeing issues. The NBA, the NFL, you name it. But here's the difference. Those leagues at least pretend to hold their officials accountable. The NBA releases last 2-minute reports admitting when calls were missed. The NFL rotates crews to avoid conflicts and suspends refs when they botch major calls. The WNBA, they recycle the same refs who just embarrassed the sport like nothing ever happened. That's not professionalism. That's amateur hour. Fans aren't asking for perfection. They're asking for transparency, for accountability, for the belief that the outcome of a playoff game is decided by players, not referees. Right now, they don't believe that, and the league isn't even trying to change their minds. And that's the tragedy of this semifinal. This series should have been iconic. Caitlin Clark versus A'ja Wilson. Boston against Young, Mitchell against Gray. A young, scrappy Fever squad taking on the most dominant dynasty in years. It could have been the kind of series people talked about for decades. Instead, the headline is, "Which ref screws it up first?" That's humiliating for the league. And here's the kicker. If Vegas advances on the back of soft calls and swallowed whistles, fans won't celebrate. They'll tune out. They'll say the finals are rigged. Polls already show it. People don't want another Aces coronation. They want Clark on the biggest stage. And if she's robbed of that by officiating, the fallout will be brutal. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about one bad assignment. It's about betrayal. A betrayal of players who've earned fairness. A betrayal of fans who've kept this league alive with their wallets. And a betrayal of the very promise the WNBA keeps making, to grow the game. You don't grow by sabotaging your stars. You don't grow by alienating the audience that finally cares. And until the league figures that out, every whistle will feel suspicious, every call will feel political, and every game will feel tainted. The fans aren't just angry, they're losing faith, and once faith is gone, the league has nothing left.